And I mean, they had to kill a little time because the match between Seth and LA Knight went home early, but at somehow, and I believe I might know, but somehow they had time to fill and still went off the air in the middle of Goldberg's promo. This show was snake bit. And this is NBC television. It's a WWE studio. It's not like they are strangers to live broadcasts. And at the end, they were just going hard to break where they weren't even, not only were they not pitching to it, which often they don't, but they weren't fading. There wasn't like a lead to the break. It just, boom, there's a commercial. And then like I said, they managed to go off the air we saw 10 seconds of Goldberg's retirement fucking speech. It was a fiasco, but all I could say when I was watching this was poor Gunther, who is the most talented, dedicated, professional. They ought to be over the moon at the talent that they have got in Gunther, or the employee they've got, I should say, because goddamn poor guy. They even brought Doug Dillinger back. And I've known Doug since 1985. He was a Charlotte City police officer working for Crockett, doing security at the matches.
That popped me. Seeing old Doug Dillinger knock on the door,
Yeah.
That got me. Because I didn't see him early in the show. I missed when they showed him in the crowd. But when they knocked on the door, that got me.
Yeah. And and I don't know how old Doug would be, but my God, I think he was certainly had to be in his 30s when I was in my 20s. Anyway, I'm surprised he's still alive. But anyway, he did the walk. Goldberg looked in pain walking. Could you tell, or was it me, or did he always walk like that?
I don't know if I thought it there in the hallway. I definitely thought it a little bit later, that it looked like as he was walking, he was struggling moving around. Again, he's a guy. He's not a young guy, and beyond wrestling, he played football.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying he needs to, that he's Ox Baker and he has no track record of being physical, but the aura, that's the problem. I think it was Goldberg in the match coming out doing the stuff that Goldberg did, but it wasn't the same aura. And I think the fans weren't going batshit. Remember when they would see Stone Cold come back, right? No matter where it was, Pismo Beach or Seattle, Washington, the place goes out of their minds because it's Stone Cold and he still had the aura. And I guess he probably still has the aura, but we haven't seen him in a while. But were the people in Atlanta going nuts when Goldberg was walking to the ring, or was it kind of like, yeah, there's Goldberg?
It seemed like they were really into it. Now, the match kind of just popped up within a few weeks, so it wasn't like there was a long build, but also I think, Goldberg's a big star, and his peak was a long time ago. And if you try to look at any other period in wrestling history, dropping someone from 25 years ago to now to be as over as they were then, it's hard to do.
Well, and that's the other thing, is that he hasn't had the constant comebacks, and I don't mean it just comebacks in the ring. I mean, he's back at this function or that event, or he's at this, or he's a guest at ringside. Like a lot of the guys, to keep people steadily watching them. If you want to see Goldberg really in the ring, you're looking at YouTube or whatever from 25 years ago. And 25 years, that would mean that in 1986, Pat O'Connor could have come in and challenged for the NWA title.
Would it have drawn? Even in St. Louis?
No. Shit, by 1986, St. Louis wouldn't draw for Crockett. Anyway, so I just think the aura that he used to have that would leap through the screen at you, is not there, and it's time. It's no shortcoming of his. But nevertheless, Gunther is a genius again. Goldberg was stationary for the most part, and Gunther worked off of him. And he had Goldberg no-sell the chop. And basically, Goldberg was the punches, the elbows, and the clotheslines. And Gunther, would stop him and go to the top so he could get slammed off. And then they did a spot where they fought on the floor, and Goldberg could miss a spear and go through the barricade so you could get the effect of the impact of his spear without it having to, him having to actually spear a person and it not looking like people wanted it to. And then boom, 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 Gunther worked the knee. Gunther was leading this, let's say, charitably, kind of step by step. I'm thinking that the reason why I think they did everything they were supposed to do, but I think it took longer than they thought, which is maybe why they went off the air, because I think Goldberg was drooping after a while. So at any rate, finally Goldberg goes for the spear, but Gunther moved and Goldberg speared poor old Charles Robinson. And down he went. And then Gunther took Goldberg's knee brace off. And they were talking about Goldberg's, bad knee and et cetera, trying to make him vulnerable. And the fans were into that. And he whipped Goldberg's knee with the brace. And then he went out and he killed time working the people because they were about to go home. And I'm thinking that he was probably trying to give Goldberg, because Goldberg had to get him up for the jackhammer, right? I'm thinking he's probably wanting Goldberg to breathe at that point, all he wants to. So he milked the people, and he shoved Goldberg's son, and Goldberg's son hops the rail, and a security tries to hold him back. And Gunther gets back in the ring, and now Goldberg hits the spear. Boom. And the fans are up now. And then Goldberg gets him up and jackhammers him barely. Not the flattest one ever. Here comes a new referee, cover, 2 count. And then Goldberg couldn't get up because his leg was bad. And Gunther got the choke. And Goldberg fought, but he couldn't get out, and the referee called for the bell. So we got to see the spear and the jackhammer. And enough smoke and mirrors with the referees to where Goldberg had plenty of outs. And then Gunther choked him out, which is what the right result was in this instance. If you're going to have Goldberg's final match against that guy, he couldn't fucking make the people happy. But it was 15 minutes bell to bell, and I don't know if they thought that it was going to take that long. Because then they went to break, as I said, cold again.
Right away, yeah.
Right away. And then came back at like 9:50, 9:30. And Goldberg's in the ring with all of his family and his friends. And he said they've come from all over the country to see me here tonight. And he spoke for 15 seconds, and in mid-sentence, boom, black, off air. And what the fuck?
Yeah, we kill AEW when they've done that in the past. They did that with Sting on the pay-per-view. That's what it was.
Yeah.
I would have rather shave a few minutes off this match and give him. I would have rather have seen a speech from Goldberg, an emotional speech, than a few extra minutes on the match.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I think they had to give Goldberg a few extra minutes in there to not vomit. But the thing is that you can't imagine that they left less than 5 minutes at the end for an in-ring speech with Goldberg and all of those people. I would in the format. So how the fuck they get that far off? I don't know. But yeah, the AEW overrun now is an accepted thing, and it's regular and expected. But I think it came from AEW not being able to time their show and just run it over to the point where they said, well, let's do it anyway, and we'll add to the average. But this was a rotten way to end a network television program.
Yeah. I think going to the break right after the finish and then coming back just to see a few seconds of what was clearly a big moment for him and a lot of people there. He said over 100 people from around the country were there that he brought in for this.
Yeah.
Again, there was plenty of other stuff on the show they could have shaved. And after the Rollins injury,
they were short.
Yeah, I'd be embarrassed that happened. That was what I wanted to see. Seriously, that's what you want. They should have led off with Goldberg then and let him have his final match and give the speech, but they ended with it and we got to see. Yeah, I mean, I've never seen a match they go from finish to commercial like that so abruptly.
Well, and you wouldn't have known they were coming back because the break went on for so long, and everybody's clock probably said, half of them said 10 o'clock anyway, because it was just that close. And it was thing. So yeah, the talent is more professional, and you hardly get to see them do anything. Normally, the production is more professional, but in this case, they shit the bed. And you have to put up here with jelly rolls and rapper G's and whatever the fuck. But is that better or worse than watching a bunch of fucking children act like male cheerleaders in a never-ending fucking video game fight that lasts for hours and hours and it all blends together? Why can't we just have some wrestling again?
Well, that was Goldberg versus Gunther, and that was Saturday night's main event. There's a lot more to talk about. This may be the end of that because of time travel. But Jim, after a full day of wrestling, starting with the Great American Bash and, of course, All In, Saturday night's main event, it is night. It's time to go to sleep. And we know someone that we can tell all the listeners about to help them with a good night's sleep.
Well, I'll tell you what, there was no problem with me going to sleep after I'd watched some of this stuff. Actually, the only problem was there were the horrific sights that I had seen running through my head. I was tossing and turning like I was having a living nightmare. Please stay away from me. I don't want to see any more wrestlers. But if you would like to sleep, and not only sleep, but sleep refreshed and wake up refreshed, or stay asleep and wake up refreshed. Can you sleep while you're refreshed? Or would it be that you were too excited when you were refreshed to sleep?
No, take a shower.
Regardless, the sleep is what refreshes you, folks. And unlike other sleep aids that give you next day grogginess, our friends at Beam and their dream powder will change everything in your life. It will change your sleep patterns. It will change the trouble you have falling asleep, the trouble you have staying asleep. You won't even have to get up in the middle of the night and wee as much as you used to, because, I used to wake up in the middle of the night, Brian, and I would think, do I need to go? I should go. Do I need to go? And then I'd wake myself up. Well, now you don't have to worry about that. And there's also a good chance that you won't actually go.
Well, once again, folks, these are not parts of the tenets, the promises of our friends at Beam, the Dream Powder.
No, they have a contract with America that if you add Beam's Dream Powder to your routine, you will sleep through the night without tossing and turning. It will instantly, your muscles will be useless as you'll just lay there, and that way you get more sleep because you have no use of your appendages.
No. First of all, no. Second of all, this is not their promise to America, I assure you.
Well, they said no tossing and turning. And you'll wake up actually refreshed, not groggy, not exhausted, ready to take on the day. As I've said many times, after I take some Beam, I get a good night's sleep. I wake up, I'm ready to punch some son of a bitch in the face. You're going to want to take on the day, folks, and you're going to want to win. And you're not the only one, because Beam has improved 17.5 million nights of sleep, and 92% of the users surveyed reported better sleep and waking up refreshed.
That's right.
The other 8%.
That's the percent.
They're going to check in as soon as they regain the ability to understand English. That's what the survey's in.
That has nothing to do with what we're talking about, and what we're talking about is a good night's sleep. I can tell you one thing here in this household. The lovely Suzanne is a big fan of Beam's Dream Powder.
Well, and I'll tell you what, Stacy has been I told you, she's got the customized mug they have also. The Dream Powder has been introduced into her daily or nightly routine, and now you can just give her a sip of this and boom, she'll be gone. You don't have to worry about her for days at a time.
That is not what happens. She'll get a good night's sleep.
Well, I don't worry about her for days at a time. I don't know about you.
That is you. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, your significant others will wake up feeling refreshed, as you will when you use the fine and delicious, I must say, Dream Powder from Beam.
Yes, that is true. That is a trend. And if they're reluctant to try it, we'll just slip a little bit in when they don't notice.
No, that's not allowed.
Thank you later.
That's not allowed. It is only by consent, and I can't believe we're talking about this here. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you consent to what you ingest yourself, get yourself something that'll help with a good night's sleep, feel refreshed. Beam.
Ingest what you enjoy, and we will tell you now, without jesting, how you can save a lot of money on it for a limited time only right now and in the next few minutes, but not long. Beam is giving our listeners, that's you people out there, you people, the best offer yet, up to 40% off. You can try it now at shopbeam, B-E-A-M, shopbeam.com/JCE. Use the code JCE at checkout and get up to 40% off for a very wee limited time. Shopbeam.com/JCE. The code is JCE for up to 40% off. And you can put your whole family to sleep for a very affordable price.
Again, in a sense, that is exactly right. Beam, the Dream Powder from our friends at Beam. We love it over here. You'll love it there. One more time, Jim. That promo code for all the wonderful listeners.
All the people who haven't written it down by now. Shopbeam.com/JCE. The promo code JCE, up to 40% off. Put your neighbors to sleep, too. It'll be quieter around holidays.